Silly me decided to ignore his warning about wearing that outfit to a party. When I got back home, marriage is not always the right choice when it comes to happiness. Trust me, and take your time to think about those decisions that impact your life in the way a marriage can do that. Soon enough, I will let you know why I'm saying that. Hey Reddit guys, my name is Elle. I am 30 years old, I have a degree in accountability and finance, and I work as an accountant for a prestigious building company. I started working there when I was 25 years old. The beginnings are always hard, but they can be immensely beautiful and interesting. That company is the place where I knew my husband or ex-husband, since we are now in the divorce process. I used to call myself lucky because of him, and he made work so much more lovable and interesting. Can you imagine how it feels to love going to work every single day? Guess what? My ex was my boss. I used to be a simple specialist in finance, and he was the director of the finance department. So every day I found various justifications to go see him. I even asked him nonsense questions just to go there and see him and meet him or talk to him. While he talked, I had those kinds of fantasies to kiss his lips. Don't judge me, please, but he had that impact on me. What could I do? When I started going there, he was the one who took care of explaining everything about work. Practically, he trained me, and I wish I could be trained forever so I could stay with him and look into his beautiful eyes. I dreamed about kissing those lips until the day I did kiss them. After that, those lips started distancing from me. That guy whom I had fantasies about and who made my life easier was Francesco. Honestly, he made my day at work and just life in general more manageable. He was Italian but had relocated to the US when he was just 3 years old. He also studied finance just like me, and he was very good at his job. I was triggered by the fact that he was Italian because I have always wanted to visit Italy. I had heard so much about its culture and the amazing landscapes, and now I wanted to visit Italy more because of him. I told him so, and he promised me that in the future we both would go and visit Italy. He had not been there since a long time, actually since he was a kid, which made the idea of this trip more interesting. You may be wondering how he promised to take me to Italy when he was just my boss yet. That happened later, guys. We used to go on those dinners or just drinking, all my colleagues, not just us. During those times out, I clearly tried to flirt with him, and he flirted with me too. Guys, I was feeling so happy, and I wanted those nights out to last forever. So I was waiting for him to ask me out, even though I was kind of afraid because we worked at the same place, and that would impact our relationship, and also other employees would think I was with him because I wanted to get promoted. Actually, I did not care about what they thought, but I did not want to harm him or me in any way relating to our jobs. So yeah, maybe he was afraid to. That is why he had not asked me out until then. Soon I decided to take the first step and ask him to go for a drink with me. Am I to be judged, guys? I don't think so. I did what I felt to do. So one day we were working and I could see him in his office. Looking at him, I got my phone and sent him a message asking him if he had time to come for dinner with me that day after work. I saw him taking his phone in his hands right away after I sent the message. He looked at me and smiled, then started writing, and then I got a new message from him. He said he had been waiting for that message from me. I was so happy that I could not take my eyes off him and also could not wait for work to finish. I don't know how work went by that day, but at the end I went home very fast and prepared for the dinner. He would not come to pick me up. Instead, we would meet at the restaurant we were going to eat at. I wore a sensual black dress, which made me look very hot and beautiful. I wanted to look the best for him. So yeah, we met at the restaurant. He was waiting for me there, which means he had arrived before me there. I thought that made him look very interesting to me, and that was a good thing. Many of you may be thinking that it is a mistake to invite a man out first, but I don't. I think we all should do what we feel to do, and if we want to get out with someone, why not invite them out? So if someone wants to judge me at this point, they are welcome to. He looked so great and handsome, and he also gave me a lot of compliments. He told me I was looking good, and as always, I was a hot girl. The night started with him telling me that he was happy that I took the first step and invited him out because he was afraid to ask because I would tell him no, and then I would tell others at work. Also told I was afraid to, but the desire to meet him was greater than the fear. He smiled and looked at me. It seemed like he was a little shy with girls, but I still liked him very much, and I wanted to get to know him more. With him, I felt different. I felt myself, And that night, I did not want the night to end. I wanted to stay with him like that forever. That was the night when he told me that one day he would take to see the wonders of Italy. He was telling me a lot of things about his homeland, because he already knew I dreamed about visiting Italy. I asked him if he had any parents in Italy, and he told me he had some cousins, but his family moved to the United States when he was just a kid, 3 years old, which I already knew. He did not have any brothers or sisters. Actually, he had a brother, but he had died when he was 18 in a car accident. He was 16 when the accident happened, and he was with his brother in the car. His brother was driving. He felt so bad that he was the one that survived and his brother died. His eyes fill with tears. He never talked about this story with our colleagues. I also cried while listening to him talk about his brother. I could not imagine what it felt like, or how difficult it was. He told me his mother never got over this, and she goes to his grave almost every day. His father was also destroyed, but now he was the one trying to support everyone. I was so sorry for his brother, but also felt special that he had chosen to share that dark event of his life with me. I also talked to him a little about my life in general. My parents lived in another city away from me, and I did not go often to visit because they always try to pressure me to make the decisions and the choices that they think are the best for me, but our thoughts about what's best for me are not the same. Well, he also asked me about my love life, and I told him my last relationship was the longest, and it ended because my ex moved to another country and I did not want a long-distance relationship. That was the night, and we had our first kiss, guys. We both had been waiting for that night, and for that kiss to happen. It happened when we finished dinner, and he came with me to my car before going to his car and opening the door with me. Then he came near me, and suddenly, without any words, he kissed my lips. It was the sweetest kiss I have ever had, guys, and I wanted it to continue forever. Then laughing, he told me he would like to continue kissing me, but unfortunately, we were in the parking lot. But another day we would continue what we had started. I smiled and also laughed and told him I could not wait for that to happen. And honestly, I could not wait to taste his lips again. The next day I went to work and found a note at my desk where Francesco told me thank you for last night. I was the one to thank him because he made me experience so many beautiful feelings. Well, after that night we started dating and seeing each other every day, even out of work. Our days were all about each other. Francesco was very romantic and he made me feel so special all the time. He bought me flowers and took me on romantic dates every week. I was feeling like a princess. And it kept going like that for 1 year. After 1 year, he was not my boyfriend anymore because he became my husband, guys. So after a year, he proposed and I said yes. That night, he asked me to get ready because he would come to pick me up and we would go somewhere special. This somewhere special was a restaurant by the sea, and we got to see the sunset, which I loved. I love sunsets, guys. And I think that proposal was perfect for that place and that sunset. It was all magical, and I felt so blessed that I had the possibility to experience these feelings with him. I was so thankful for having him in my life. We got married, and we had a simple wedding by the sea with our most important people. I was happy and blessed because I was marrying the guys of my dreams. We were happy for almost 2 years. I loved him and he loved me, and we also continued working together. Actually, we started having problems because of work. Our boss wanted to make him a simple finance specialist and wanted to promote me instead. That day, we found out he was angry, and I had never seen him that angry. He told me it was my fault, but I did not have any faults because I was not the one to ask for a promotion. I loved him, and I did not want him to feel like that. It was not fair for him to go back to being a finance specialist because I knew him and he was very good at his job. I was sure that he was even better than me, but it was not right that he was making me feel like it was my fault because it wasn't. So at that point, I was feeling very bad and overwhelmed, and I wanted to look for another job and go away so maybe things between us would get better. Because at that moment, our marriage had turned into a toxic marriage since we were hurting each other every other day with words. I talked to him and told him that maybe I had to find another job because I didn't want to take his place at our work. He smiled and asked if I was joking. I told him no, I was serious. I want to find another job and just be okay with you. I really loved him no matter how many problems we were having. He told me no, don't do that because he would search for another job. Anyway, even if I didn't take his post, they would give it to someone else. So the next day we went to work and he resigned and I took his post. I was promoted, and my colleagues organized a party for me, which he didn't like, and asked me not to go, but I could not do that. They put so much effort into that party, and they cared about me, so I could not do that. I had to go, even if this made him mad. I asked him to come with me. However, he knew everyone there because he had been working there for a longer time than I have, but he didn't accept. Also, he was watching me get ready and getting jealous about the way I was dressed. He said that my dress was not adequate because it was very short. Was he serious? Okay, the dress was a little short, but he was overreacting. I did not change the dress even if we fought because I knew the problem was not the dress. That night went great even though I kept thinking of my husband, and it was unfair for me to be there while he was at home alone and disappointed in everyone. I also felt sad and started drinking to prevent thinking of him. But what happened is that I found myself dancing with a stranger in the club we were in. I did not understand how, but I was so close to him that I could feel his body on mine. I was looking straight into his eyes, and he asked what my name was. Also, his name was David. He had black eyes and black hair. His lips were so beautiful I felt like kissing them. I am okay with being judged, but I didn't kiss him. We just danced, and at the end, I wrote my number on his phone so he could call me the next day or message. I could not believe I was doing that to my husband. Me, someone who always judged people who cheated, was about to cheat on my husband in the moments he needed me the most. I went home very late, and my husband was sleeping. He had drunk so much because he was in pain and I was not there for him. However, he didn't want me to be. I had to be there. The next morning, he was having breakfast without me and he had turned on his laptop. He was looking for work opportunities and he looked so fresh and ready for new beginnings. I said good morning and went straight to prepare just a coffee because I was late, and at that very same moment, I got a text message from David who offered to have the morning coffee with me. So I did not prepare the coffee. I decided to go and have it with him. My husband asked me why I stopped and why I was going to work so early. I told him I would have the coffee with a friend outside, and he just said okay. He would stay home and search for a new job. He seemed optimistic. I got out of the house and called David immediately. He was waiting for me in a bar that was not far from my job, so I went there to have coffee with a stranger who was not my friend and not my husband. He was tall and very handsome. I could not say no to him because I needed someone to take me out of the depression of my marriage. He said good morning and kissed my cheeks. I blushed and felt so good, like that was the thing I needed for a long time. I sat there and ordered a coffee, and we started talking about last night. I told him I was a little drunk and I did not know what I was doing, but at the end, I found myself dancing with him. He asked me, why was I there then? If I did not like him last night, why was I there? I told him I loved last night. That is why I was giving him a chance. He tried to kiss my lips when we were saying bye, but I did not let him, even if, I will admit, I was tempted. On my way to work, I could not stop thinking of him. Someone new in my life. Maybe that was what I needed. My husband was making my life so impossible, and he was killing my inner peace. Also, he was so jealous of and also of my success. He was not supporting me at all. As soon as I got to work, I remembered that everyone was there and watched me dancing with David. So they would start talking about me right away. Okay, but I also got a cute text message from David. He told me I was amazing, and he could not stop thinking about me. He asked me to go out that same night for dinner. But guys, I could not tell my husband I would go out again. That was impossible. So I told David I could not go out and asked him if we could instead meet the next day. He was okay with it. I was waiting for that day impatiently. The next day, like every other day, I woke up and got ready for work. My husband was also getting ready. He told me he was going to have a work interview and was happy. He kissed me and said, "Wish me luck, baby." He didn't leave any time to tell him I was going out that night. That was okay because I would write to him as soon as I would get to work. So yeah, I went to work, waited for 2 hours, then wrote to my husband to firstly ask him how his job interview went, then let him know I would go out with some friends. He told me the work interview was great and he was going to start working next Monday. He was so happy that he found a job so fast, and I had no doubt he would because, like I told you in the beginning, he was very good at his job. I was happy for him too. But he was upset because I was not going to stay home and celebrate with him the fact that he was going to start a new job next Monday. But well, He didn't celebrate with me either, and I was not celebrating with him. However, I felt like a horrible person for cheating on him. After work, I found him at home. I went and gave him a hug, and I told him that I knew he would make it because he was the best at his job. He hugged me back, but he was enthusiastic. After that, I went and got ready to go outside. Again, he criticized me for wearing extravagant clothes, and I did not listen. I wanted to look sexy that night. I neglected his opinion and everything, and went out with David, who would soon be my lover. The dinner was great, and even if it was just the third time I had seen him, he invited me to his place so we could stay and talk with each other. But I knew best that he didn't even want to say a word. But still I went. I wanted to be with him, and I threw away what I had with my husband. He may have made some mistakes lately, but he was my man, my best friend, and I was the one who destroyed what we had for a little different pleasure. That night I did not think about him at all. I wanted to enjoy time with David because he made me feel like I was a teenager, and something in me moved, guys. He was talking, and I was thinking about kissing his lip. He was single, and I did not tell him that I was married. I told him I was in a divorce process. I know you all will judge me, and you are right to do so, but what is done cannot be undone. I have cheated on my husband. That night I went to David's home, and we drank a little wine, and we talked a little about general things. After that, he came near me and started kissing passionately. It was all about passion that night. We jaded sex like we had never had before. It was a crazy night. I stayed there for 2 hours, and then, like Cinderella, I had to go before midnight. I told him I loved my parents, and I had to sleep at home. He had his doubts, but David asked to see me again. He also told me he had the best time with me. I had so much fun, and of course I wanted to meet him again. I had no idea what I was doing, but I wanted to be with him again. Driving home, I could not stop thinking about those hours I spent with him, but when I got home, my husband was furious. He asked where I was. He was doubting and not trusting me because I had been out for so many hours. I told him I was with friends for dinner, and after we went in a bar for some drinks. He got worse and asked me how I could do that while he was home waiting for me. He wanted to share his happiness with me, and I was not there for him. I was not there when he was sad, and I was not there when he was happy. So I was never there for him. He made me feel sad too. I had to stop before he found out, but I couldn't. That night I promised myself I would stop talking to David and I would stop meeting him, but tomorrow was a new day, and as soon as I got up, a text message arrived from David, who told me he was ready for another day with me. He did know I was married, so he had the right to write and to meet me. Again, I replied to him that I could not wait to spend more time with him. I wanted the other night to be repeated. I wanted more time with him. I felt happy when I was with him, but I felt guilty when I came home. So I wrote to him again, "What is next?" He asked me to go on a road trip with him to the beach and watch the sunset. It would be magical because I love sunsets. I told him I was all in for that road trip, and then I went to talk with my husband. I found him outside having coffee and smoking cigarette, which he never used to do before. I asked him how he was and why he was smoking. He said nothing special. He was just a little anxious, and smoking helped him feel better. Then I told him I wanted to go meet my family and spend the night with them because we both needed a little time to think about our relationship. He told me that he had nothing to think about and that he loved me, but I was being unfair, and he did not know what was going on with me. At that moment, I didn't care. I just wanted to get out of the house. I took everything I needed and went to work. I would leave work a little earlier, and I would park my car at David's place. Then we would go with his car to the beach. I could not wait for that to happen. He knew a place that was quiet, no people, just nature and us. He had prepared everything, like food and drinks, because it would be kind of a picnic. He even got me flowers, sunflowers, for a sunset day. I loved it. I got my bikini with me in case we decided to swim during the sunset, and that was what we did. As soon as we got there, we went to the sea and swam together. I kissed his lips and enjoyed touching his body and feeling him in my body. Then we got out and made love on the beach. It was amazing, guys, our wet bodies feeling each other. Every time we made love, it was better than the one before. This one was the best. After that, we ate something and watched the sunset, hugging each other. He started talking about how much he had looked for a person like me, and I told him that he didn't even know me yet, but he thought that he had some special connection with me. I was lying to him, and I was lying to my husband, and I would lose both of them. However, I spent the night with him at his place, and in the morning, I went back home. My husband was feeling that something was not right, so when I got there, he asked how the night was. I told him it was fine and I needed some time with my family. He told me we had to talk, but I neglected him. I went straight to our bedroom and then had a shower and went back to him. I was kind of afraid he would notice something, but in fact he had already noticed something. I felt guilty though. He came near me and tried to hug me and ask me what was going on and why I was avoiding him. Well, he told me that maybe he had made some mistakes, but he didn't deserve to be treated like that. I told him that nothing was wrong with me, and yeah, maybe he had made mistakes, but I had too. I was not doing anything to make him feel bad, but actually I was, and I could see the hurt in his eyes. I had hurt him, and I was going to break his heart very soon. I am sure you all will be judging me, and you have every right to do so, but the truth is, I cannot take back time and change what is done. I am sure I enjoyed the time with David, but I had to tell him the truth because with him, I was just trying to escape my problems, and I didn't love him. Monday came, and my husband started the new job. He was happy and excited. He hugged me and wished me a good day. Instead, I would go a little late to work because I was meeting David for a coffee. I was feeling so confused, and I didn't know what to do or what to say. I had turned my life upside down just because I was not able to communicate with my husband, and I escaped him by cheating with another man. That was not me, and I don't know how I turned out to be like that. I felt like a horrible person. But anyway, I went to have the morning coffee with David. I found him at the coffee shop waiting for me. I asked him how he was and had a seat. He got the coffee for us, and I wanted to tell him and finish what we started, but I could not find the courage to do so. He asked me if everything was all right with me, and still I could not tell him the truth. I told him everything was fine, and the next moment I went a second in the toilet. At that same second, a message had arrived in my phone. It was on the table when I went to the toilet, from my husband, who sent me a picture of his new office and told me, "Baby, look at my new office. I will wait for you these days to see it in real life. Love you, wifey." When I came back from the toilet, he already knew what was going on. He was just very angry and sad. He asked me, why didn't I tell him the truth and why did I lie? He was starting to have feelings for me. He asked me, "Are you really married?" I told him, "Yes, I am married, and I am sorry I lied to you." He just got up and told me he never wanted to see me again, and he felt sorry about my husband, who had a wife like me that was cheating on him. After work, I went home, and I needed to get my mind off of what was going on, so I decided to go out with some friends to a party I had been invited to, and I invited my husband as well. I went to have a shower, and he prepared an outfit for me. When I got out of the shower, he asked me to wear that outfit, but I didn't like it, so I said no. I was going to wear what I liked instead. He warned me, "If you don't put on his outfit, I will not come with you," and I did not understand why he was acting like that. He was a little jealous lately and hated my extravagant clothes, but he had never acted like that. However, I told him that if he doesn't feel like coming with me, then he could stay home alone because I would not accept him to control the way I dress, and I was serious about it. Silly me decided to ignore his warning about wearing that outfit to a party. When I got back home, I found all of my clothes outside the door in a suitcase. I tried to get in with my key, and he had changed the lock. I tried calling him, and he didn't answer. Then I got a text message from him. He told me that he knew everything about me cheating on him with David, and that it was him who told my husband everything. "So get your things and never come back," he told me. I was devastated. Maybe David took my husband's phone number from my phone that day, when my husband sent me the message telling me about his new office. However, it did not matter anymore. It was my fault, and he was right to act like that because I would do the same. Now I was suffering the consequences of my own actions. I would never want to be cheated on, but I did do that to someone else. I deserved what my husband did. I deserved to be treated like that, and I deserved worse. I got the suitcase and went back to my parents' house. When they asked why I was there, I told them the truth. I could not be lying anymore. It had gone too far now. They criticized me a lot, and they were right about everything that they said. I didn't say a word. I just asked them to stay some days with them until I found an apartment for me. And of course they would not get me out. I was their daughter. Life continued on like that, I kept going to work and going out, but also tried to work with myself. I needed to heal from everything I went through, and I needed to learn how to forgive myself. I still loved my husband, but I knew he would never forgive me for cheating on him, because he would never do that thing to me. Guys, please be careful on judgment because I already know what I did, but what I can do, I cannot undo things. It was a big mistake of mine. I had such a great man in my life, and at the first opportunity, I destroyed everything. I wish I had not done that, and I wish I had treated him better and communicated with him about everything. Sometimes I feel worthless and like the most horrible person on the planet, but I am trying to be better. There is one thing I want to tell everyone. Please be careful with the people you love and treat them kindly, because sometimes we know the value of what we have only when we lose them. Update. Hey, Reddit guys. It has passed some time, but I am again here since many of you asked for an update. I am so thankful to everyone who has supported me through this hard time. There were many of you who did that by telling me I am only human, and I had to go on with life, learning from my mistakes and healing. Well, life goes on, guys. I had been trying so hard to keep going. I am struggling with self-guilt and self-shame. You asked about my husband also. Well, there is nothing new. After some days, he sent me the divorce papers to my parents' house. I had tried to talk to him just to let him know I am sorry, because I know he will never be with me, but I just wanted him to know that I am really sorry and I truly loved him. But he never returned any of my messages or calls. I signed the divorce papers and we are getting divorced. I also found a small apartment for myself, so I am moving in to live alone. I hope it will get better. I am moving on, or at least I am trying to move on with life like a divorced woman. Life gets hard sometimes, and I am aware that it was all my fault. Now I have nothing to do. I cannot change what I did. I just have to accept life as it is. Guys, I know cheating is not the right choice, and it is never a thing to do. I always thought like that too, but at a moment I lost it. You are right to judge me, I promise you are, but life happened, and during the way I somehow forgot who I was. I forgot about my values and everything, and now I am just suffering and accepting the consequences that came along with what I did. This is the last time I write about this story. I will try to move on, but also I am so thankful for everyone, the ones that supported me and the ones that judged me. We are all only humans. Goodbye, guys.